Hey everyone, it's your old pal Yoshi here again with another one bar build. This time around, we're going to do a Warden. Oh, no, not the Warden. The Warden sucks. No, come on, seriously. Wardens aren't that bad. You just have to have the right stuff, you know? So what I did was I put a nice little build together here, and I've been testing it out, and I got to say, it's working really, really nice. So let me go over this with you here, if I may. We'll start with the attributes. Put everything in Magicka. 64 points. Boom. As far as the gear goes, you guys know my standard gear by now. All light gear except for one heavy piece, which helps with the health. It's a mix of Juliano's and Mother's Sorrow, which I'm using for the spell crit and the maximum Magicka. Each piece has a maximum Magicka on it. And divines as well. The Mundus Stone I'm using is the Thief, which is why my spell crit is at 72.3%, which means about 3/4 of the times I'm doing critical damage. That's going to be a lot of damage. As far as other items here, I am using, for my jewelry, all arcane, which increases my Magicka, and also has magic recovery on it to help with the recovery of Magicka, of course. And I have a lightning staff of Mother's Sorrow. It's the only piece yellow that I have. It absorbs Magicka, which allows me to recover Magicka, and deals 2,988 magic damage, as well as 1,335 normal damage. It's a beast. It's nice. So looking at the spells I have here, or skills, whatever you want to call them, we have Blue Betty. And Blue Betty, what's going to do is it's going to restore 5,376 Magicka over 27 seconds. It's also going to increase my spell damage by 20%. This is going to allow me to hit harder and also more often, because I'm not going to be scrambling for a lot of Magicka. Leeching Vines, this is what's going to keep me alive. And what it does is, as long as I'm alone, it heals just me for 1,676 health each second as the vines take damage. And I believe that's exactly what they mean, is the vines and not me, which I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest. I want me to be the one that it's worried about, not itself, but it does its job. It also applies minor lifesteal to enemies that damage the target for 10 seconds. I'm assuming that the target is me. So healing me for 666 health every second. So that's an extra health boost. So as long as I'm doing damage, I'm getting extra health back. Blockade of Storms, 1,157 shock damage every second for 12 seconds. 18 by 12 meter area. That's huge. It's great. Some people also said about using unstable wall. You could do that too. You could do either one. I like not having to think about it for 12 seconds. Though, to be honest, knowing the way the rotation works on this build, I probably will end up changing it to unstable. Deep Fissure takes 3 seconds to hit, but it deals 8,916 damage to all enemies in front of where you drop it. That's the important thing. You can drop it and then run away from it. It's going to go off of where you dropped it, and it's a 20 by 7 meter area. It's pretty darn big. And it's a really hard, fast hit. Also, enemies that are damaged have their spell resistance reduced for 6 seconds. This is really good. This is really, really good. And then, of course, I have my old Standby Inner Light, which is going to increase my max Magicka by 5% and increase spell crit by 2,191. And it's also going to expose enemies that I can't see. I'm not going to use that feature. That's stupid. How many things can't you see in this game? Even if it's hidden, once it hits you, it's going to be seeable again anyway. It just doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. The old Aw Crap button, which is Thunderstorm, it winds up for 2 seconds, and then it does 5,099 shock damage every second for 7 seconds in an 8 meter radius. Really good for bosses. All right, so let's look at the passives here. For Animal Companion, I use all of them. Green Balance, using all of them. Winter's Embrace, I'm not using any of the items from Winter Embrace from this build. So, looking here, as far as if there's any advantage to do so, Icy Aura reduces the effect of a snares applied to you by 15%. You may want to take that. Increase your magic and frost damage by 6%. You might want to take that one too. The other two, you're not using any of these abilities. It's not going to help you. Weapon, Destruction Staff, take all the passives. Armor, Light Armor, all the passives. Heavy Armor, you can take Resolve, Constitution, and Juggernaut. Those will help you a tiny bit if you have heavy armor. If you don't bother. Don't touch Revitalize or Rapid Mending. You do not have 5 pieces of heavy armor on if you're playing this build. As far as world goes, Soul Magic, you want to make sure you complete the game and get all the quests done on the main quest line so that you can get Soul Summons, which allows you to be reborn once every hour for free. And Soul Lock, which for every 10 enemies you kill will give you 1 free soul gem. Filled. Well, it doesn't give you the soul gem, it just gives you a filled soul gem, let's be honest. But it's still awesome because you just pick up soul gems all over the place without ever knowing it. I'm literally up to 382 right now. Trust me, you get tons of them. Guild, Fighters Guild, Intimidating Presence for quests. Banish the Wicked. It generates 9 ultimate when you kill an undead, Daedra, or werewolf. I don't use any of the other abilities. Mages Guild, I just use Persuasive Will. That's for quests. The rest of them aren't going to apply to this build. Racials, I'd say if you think the racial could benefit you, take it. Other than that, then just don't bother with it. Like, these are all about stamina and weapons. They're not going to do anything for me, so I'm not going to use them. I shouldn't even have Wayfarer, but don't get a choice in that. So that's all that. CP! Constellation points, yes. 50 in Tumbling, 50 in Shadow Ward. Tumbling helps with the roll dodge, and Shadow Ward helps with the block. 75 in Arcanist, 75 in Healthy. This will improve your magic recovery and your health recovery. I don't bother with Tenacity because, as you're going to see, the heavy tax hit so quickly to regenerate magic on this build, there's just no reason to put anything into it. Warlord, I put 20 into it for the break free. For as often as you get stuck somewhere and have to use it, 20 is probably adequate, but you can adjust that as you will. Quick Recovery, I put it in 30 to increase healing received from myself. I split 40 each into Light Armor Focus, Hardy, Elemental Defender, and Thick Skin. Light Armor is going to increase my physical resistance. Hardy is going to reduce damage taken by physical, poison, and disease damage. Thick Skinned is going to reduce damage over time, and Elemental Defender will reduce damage taken from Flame, Frost, Shock, and Magic damage. Next, Ironclad 40, Spell Shield 40. Ironclad protects against direct damage. Spell Shield protects against spells. I'm sorry, Spell Shield. Yeah, I said that right. Increases your spell resistance. Oh, blah. Okay. Going into the Magicka stuff here. Thaumaturge increases damage done with damage over time effects. You will definitely be using those. Keep that up there at 70. I didn't include anything for Ancient Art Tree. Looking at the Apprentice, I put 50 in Blessed, Elfborn, Spell Erosion, and Elemental Expert. Blessed increases my healing. Elfborn increases my crit damage and crit healing, which I will be doing quite a bit of both. Spell Erosion increases my spell penetration, and Elemental Expert increases flame, frost, shock, and magic damage. All around good stuff. So, how does the build work? Well, let me run through this here. So, first off, we're going to have our Blue Betty here. Oops. Hold on a minute. There we go. So, Blue Betty, our little friend here, giving us the nice little Magicka boost. Then on top of that, we're going to have our Leeching Vines surrounding us. That's going to defend us. Know these visual cues well. So this will tell you when your Blue Betty goes away or your Leeching Vines go away. See? Lost my Leeching Vines. I'll grab them again. Blockade of Storms. Shows up as lightning on the ground. Deep fissure doesn't really do much. Shows like a little circle on the ground and then explodes. Woohoo! So here's how we work this build. We throw up a Blue Betty, a Leashing Vine, a Blockade Storm, and Deep Fissure, and then we do a heavy attack. And as soon as the explosion occurs from the Deep Fissure, we do another Deep Fissure, heavy attack, and then go back to Leaching Vines, Blockade of Storms, and Deep Fissure. Now, when we see the Blue Betty is down, the only change we make is we bring the Blue Betty back. That's it. It's not that difficult. So I will run through the rotation here. And I'm not going to run on a skeleton. I'm going to actually run on real, live, ugly beasts. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Heavy attack. Whoops. Heavy attack. And then 4 again. 2, 3, 4. Heavy attack. Oh, there's nothing left to attack. Sometimes the build's a little too efficient. Alright. So let's go to the next group. She'll have some fun here. I noticed I didn't have to rotate the Blue Betty again. It lasted all the way till there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as soon as you hear the boom, that's when you want to go ahead and hit the next Deep Fissure. 2 rotations. And then you want to go back and get the Leaching Vines going again and the Blockade of Storms. And then go back for Deep Fissure. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 1, 2, 3, 4. The vines up again, and I still have my little blue friend, so I don't have to worry about that. Don't need another Blue Betty. And they're all gone. So, is the Warden that bad? I don't think so. I think the Warden's pretty good. And grab all the goodies you can, because you can sell this stuff later or give it to a friend that's just starting out. Just don't give me any of that garbage. It's only worth selling. That's it. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice little dance we got here. Now this is just one of those wear down the enemy things here. Now you'll notice I am not using any buffs. No food buff, no drink buff, nothing. My health is like, what, I think 11 grand. A little 11 and a half. That's it. This is not one of those tank builds. I am doing this on minimal amount of health. So you have to ask yourself, what more could you do with this build if you actually were to have more health? Well, I'm going to get killed here if I don't stop screwing around. Now, if you want to, it's wasteful, but you can do a 2-3-4 rotation where you just use the vines, hit the storm, and hit the fissure, and then just do it. Keep doing that over and over again. I don't recommend that because you're losing a little bit of attack in the rotation when you do that. It's better to do the 2 deep fissures and then go back. But, you know, whatever works for you. That's always the case. But these heavy attacks, definitely make sure you never run out of Magicka. And to be honest, I'm not so sure that you would anyway. I think you could actually get away with using light attacks as well. So we'll experiment up here. Obviously, we're not going to do it in a bad spot. But I'd be curious to see, because remember, with light attacks, you're building up ultimate. So definitely, if you can use more light attacks, it's better. Let's just kill these guys first. We have a boss coming up here we can practice on. One that's very safe. Ah! Got killed. Now, for those that know how these builds work, they can easily tell me why. And the reason being is they depend on you to keep injuring and damaging enemies. And what I did was I got into a point where I was not doing enough damage to them. So, we're not going to do that again. Definitely need the Blue Betty up. That's going to make the difference. That's going to make a lot more damage. Also, you need to make sure that you keep the leeching vines up. That was the other problem, is I allowed them to dissipate. As you can see, easy recovery. No problem. Alright. Kill the imps.
What delightful folly is this? Have enlisted an outsider to face me? You fools have fallen so low!
It's not doing enough damage this time. I think I'm dizzy after that little merry-go-round. Alright, here we go. This is where we're going to use the other button. I was just testing that button to see if it would work twice. See, I told you it wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. So, let's throw an ultimate down. And this time, we're going to try using just light attacks. To see if the Magicka keeps regenerating like we want it to. And it looks like it actually does. So, you don't have to use the heavy attacks. Though you do have, the only disadvantage of doing it this way is you have to, with the heavy attacks, you can kind of wait until the heavy attack was done to know when that explosion was going to occur, to know when to use the next deep fissure. This way, you really got to pay more attention. But yeah, we're accumulating some ultimate really fast here. But that's not a bad thing. And we have not run out of magic at all. We just got way too much of it. Gotta love it. Of course, we're going to throw another ultimate down. Why not? Now, the one advantage to holding down, and this is what I will talk about, the one advantage to holding down the heavy attack that a lot of people forget about if you have a lightning staff, is it can damage other enemies nearby. So when you have multiple enemies, then the heavy attack is advantageous. So for bosses, I would say use the light attacks, so you keep generating ultimate. And then if you're dealing with only, if you're doing multiple enemies or possibly a boss and adds, then Again, boss and ads use the light attacks, but if you're using just the boss, just like this, use light. And I hope I didn't just say that all wrong. So let's reiterate to make sure I got it right. So, if you have more than one enemy, use heavy attacks. If you only have one enemy and it's a boss, use light attacks. Is that better? Alright. I knew it would be. And I'll tell you, after a while doing this, it just feels so natural. I mean, the rotation on this is just so easy. It's not like some of my other builds, like the Dragon, or like the Dragon Knight, where I pretty much had to suffer to think every minute what button to hit. This one's pretty much too easy. I think the only thing easier in this is the Templar rotation, to be honest with you. Done. Alright. On to the next enemy. Now I'm going to try light attacks here just to see what it will do, if it would be worth it or not. My instincts say no. Not really sure it's all that different. The question is, am I willing to risk it here? Sure, why not? Roll the bones. We'll see what happens here. This could be very ugly. But we're going to try this with just light attacks. And it turns out you can use the light attacks just fine if there's multiple enemies. I just did it.
Has he been slain?
I'm eager to pursue the High King.
Patience, Haroldar. I need you to heal him. And Immaril is still unaccounted for. We'll need her to face Release.
Done. And he's one of the tougher bosses. On to the next. Yeah, I just cannot run out of Magicka. This is so cool. I love it when a build turns out better than you thought. And it's on the one class that you would think would really be awful. Everybody says so much about the Warden. You know, how about the Warden just isn't that great. And I will tell you, there's defenders too out there that say that it is actually a really good class. I'm proving to myself here that Warden is definitely worthwhile. You just have to have it built properly, that's all. Gonna do a little dance around everybody here. Get rid of the imps, because everybody knows I hate these guys. Alright. Big guy time. See how quick we can get rid of him. In fact, he's not bright enough to even jump out of my ultimate. It makes it so much nicer. And considering how quickly I can get ultimate on this build, I might actually be able to double ultimate him. Of course, is that because I'm getting ultimate that fast, or because I'm killing him that slow? We won't discuss it. It is what it is, because it can't be what it isn't. That's all I'm going to say. Rolling along, roll along, roll along. And he's pretty well dead. Now, I know quite a bunch of people have been asking, I've seen it, where they've been saying, you know, can you build one-bar stam builds? I've seen it on the forums and other places. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. There's, you know, I just don't know that a stam build will lend itself well to one-bar builds. At least not using my rules, which is, you know, the armor has to be armor that anybody could buy or build. You know, it does put a lot of restrictions on things. Plus everything's on one bar, so I don't know. It is something I intend to look into. The other thing I want to do, though, is while I have my Magicka build here, because I have really good Magicka builds for all my characters, and my question is, what could we do as far as making these builds into one-bar tanks? And I know somebody out there is going to crucify me for even thinking about that, because like, I don't want a one-bar tank inside my dungeon with me, because I'm going to die. It's just a thought. I'm just going to play it out, see if I can make a really tanky one-bar build for any class. And if I can, you know, I'll share it. And if I can't, then, you know, I'll admit I'm an idiot, and I will just go on to looking at stam builds then. But again, while I have the Magicka builds going, you know, it's a good time to start looking into that. And did you shoot that at me? That's what you get. Yeah, nice imp. Okay. So, going in this room, the last time I went through this, I got killed by going through the middle. So I'm going to try a new strat and go to the left and see if this works out better for me. It seems to be these archers that get me. So far, maybe the strat's working. One guy to kill, and he's dead. So yeah, definitely start on the left side of the room. The other thing is light attacks all the way. It works just fine. You don't need to use heavy attacks. Disregard what Yoshi said earlier. Yoshi was wrong. Yoshi was bad. Use light attacks. So much more efficient. Alright. I'm going to drop an ultimate on these guys because I just don't want to play with them. They're annoying. Alright, so we face the big bad at the end.
I don't know how
Again, we're going to let him rough us
those
up.
faint-
Let's
I'm
just
going
see
to
just
enjoy
how good this build is for keeping alive.
It's the outsiders. So the keepers are afraid to face me. Very well. You'll die in their stead.
Pretty sad when you're so lazy you won't even block. Alright, I will block that. If you're going to telegraph it from a mile away, then I'm not going to let it happen. I have certain rules. I won't dodge roll though. How's that sound? Alright, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Getting ready for her ultimate. Oh, that was just mean. That's probably why I don't block those. I know he's going to come through that other one hit anyway. It's just so annoying. Oh, come on. I blocked that. Uh-oh. And we're about ready to hit him with the big one again. Oh, it just hit me. God, you act like a senior citizen sometimes, Rollis. You're just... You're embarrassing. Now, each time I get up, I'm hitting the leeching binds again only because I want to make absolutely certain that it hasn't ran out or isn't about to run out when I get up. Because a lot of times, boom, he'll hit you with that second shot, and you don't want to die to that. It's just it's embarrassing. You don't want to happen. See, there, if I wouldn't have hit it, I wouldn't have had it when I got up. Not that it didn't matter, or it mattered, because he didn't hit me with the second shot anyway, but, you know, when he does, you're prepared for it. And this guy is inches away from being done. We'll let him have one more hit at us. He's done. Ta-da! Alright, so there is the build. And as you can see, able to beat Banished Cells solo by myself with a Warden and one bar. Now, I did have another bar here, but I wasn't using any of that stuff, I swear. So, you do not need anything on a second bar at all. Dun, dun, dun. Alright. So again, only used one bar to the whole thing. So that's the build and that's the gameplay. Thank you for joining, and if you want to see more builds, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and as new builds come up, you'll automatically see them. Thank you for joining, and I hope you had a great time. Catch you later.